Well, welcome back to part 3 of the video on our 8 GCBC Scout. Now let's go take a look at the panel. Okay, let's check out the panel on this aircraft. Let's start off on the left side with our JPI EDM 930. Now this is a full digital engine monitoring system, and I believe to be the finest one available. Really nice setup, and it really complements the aircraft. I have not built a Scout without this system for years. It consists of all of your normal engine instruments, fuel gauges, electronic now rather than just a float, and a fuel totalizer, trend monitoring, all in one box. Very easy to read panel, even in bright sunlight, automatically dims at night. And I'll just kind of go through some of the functions here with you. First off, we have our RPM at the top, manifold pressure here, and these list digitally, so you're showing 29.6 right now, and up at the top here it's just blank. When the RPM comes up within the range, it'll read out there in a digital format. We've got all our standard engine gauges over here: oil temp, pressure, fuel flow, voltage and amps, fuel gauges left and right, and all of these have alerts. So if you happen to get outside the parameters, it's going to come up and give you a warning, which is a really nice feature. The fuel gauges are here, left and right, 35 aside for 70 total, reads in tenths of a gallon, and I find these to be very accurate. These are calibrated by adding 2.5 gallons per side at a time and taking readings which are input into the unit. It's a very accurate system. Uses a capacitance sending unit, solid state, and works very, very well. I find it to be the most accurate fuel gauge system I've ever seen. Along with that, we have a standard fuel totalizer, which is the fuel flow right here, also digital. This gives you your gallons per hour based on a readout from the fuel transducer, separate from your gauges, of course. So you have a second source to keep track of your fuel. Now this is wired into our 696 GPS we have in this particular aircraft for fuel calculations to your active waypoint. So it'll tell you fuel remaining, fuel required, which is a real nice feature. Then we have a 4-probe EGT and CHT. And this has the lean find feature, which allows you to find the peak EGT very easily. Now, one other gauge we have on this aircraft is the carb temp gauge. Comes in real handy. Alerts you if you happen to get into temperature range where you may experience carb ice, and it'll come up and give you a warning as well. We have the outside air temperature here, and I find this to be a really great system. The other neat feature of this is that it has trend monitoring. You can download many hours of flights into a laptop, and every one of these parameters that you see here is graphed on a chart where you can see exactly what's going on every 6 seconds for your flight from startup to shutdown. It's also your Hobbs meter for your engine and airframe. It even has a Hobbs meter on itself, so it can tell you how many hours it's been operating. Great system, makes the airplane very compact, and I like it better than anything I've seen in any of the other aircraft. One of the main things is that it includes a fuel quantity, which some of the other systems like the Vision don't. This is a backup. It reads as a marquee type scrolling display in case you lose this display. It's currently showing 29.6, which is your manifold pressure. Now, the nice thing about the panel on the Scout is that it's wide enough to accommodate our engine instruments, flight instruments, and avionics without hanging anything down below like you see on some other aircraft or up on the top even. Now moving over to our flight instruments, this particular aircraft is VFR equipped, so we have airspeed altimeter, turn coordinator as a backup gyro just in case you happen to get into something, and VSI. This is the first Scout built with a 696 in the panel too. And we have the Becker COM and Becker transponder with the 696 and a gizmo mount, and a PS Engineering PM3000 intercom stereo, which gets data from the XM receiver on the 696 for stereo audio entertainment. It goes through the intercom system, it auto mutes so it doesn't interfere with your communications. The Becker COM has flip-flop capabilities, which you may not be able to see here, but you can see it on the photos in the photo gallery. Also, on the transponder, we have presets for VFR or another code if you happen to be on one, where you can switch it back and forth as well. These work very well. They sound very clear. They talk very well. The 696, of course, is the top-of-the-line Garmin GPS. This works really great in the Scout. It has a much larger screen. It has terrain. It has XM weather, which would be displayed here. Now, we're currently unable to receive this in the hangar, but this will show you thunderstorms, fronts, ice, lightning strike data for the whole U.S. in one view, as you can see right there. It's a really great system. The terrain system has a vertical profile here, which will come up once it's receiving the GPS signal, which it's not in the hangar. Much nicer than the 496. It also has charts. Of course, we're VFR, but the aircraft, the GPS, still has charts in case you'd like them just for airport information. Now, on the far right here, we have a digital clock with local time, GMT, and a timer. Now, this is the best VFR panel that I have ever done in a Scout. It's really nice, and I can't think of another way to improve it. But if you were interested in turning this aircraft into an IFR platform, which the Scout is IFR certified, and this particular aircraft, as all our Scouts are equipped with heated pitot tubes and nav antennas, so we are IFR ready, we can simply remove the gizmo mount, remove the COM, the transponder. We take these out to 3-inch holes, move these over, add a gyro, a DG, and audio panel, 430 or 530. You could do a second COM, transponder. You could do traffic, XM radio, XM weather, easily in this system with this panel the way it's laid out. So it's very accommodating. If you were interested in doing this at pre-sale, we can do it. Post-sale, you can do it. It's not difficult at all. This panel is slightly higher than standard to accommodate the 696 mount, so you've got room to do any other avionics that you'd be interested in doing. And that's about it on the panel. Well, that about wraps up our video of the Scout. But before I go, there's a few things I'd like to talk about. I get a lot of calls from people asking me the difference between a Scout and the competition. And some of the things we talk about are the fact that we've got a 70-gallon fuel capacity as opposed to 50, so about 2 more hours of fuel. We have a 100-pound structural capability in the baggage compartment, and it's larger in cubic feet as well. Our extended baggage compartment is incorporated into the cabin and is secure and also carries 30 pounds, which is higher than theirs as well. We have a taller landing gear for more ground clearance, and the aluminum gear is a lower maintenance gear than the oleo gear, plus we don't have the struts in between to worry about. The cabin on the Scout is wider, so that gives us a wider instrument panel, so we can get all of our engine and flight instruments and avionics all in the panel without hanging anything down below. We've got a full-size one-piece door with a lower threshold, so getting in and out of the aircraft is much easier, which is one of the things we hear a lot of people complain about the competition. We have a one-piece opening window on the left as well, which is no upcharge to get that, although I realize they have an option on the competition as well. The Scout's also a faster aircraft. We're getting 142 miles an hour, true airspeed 75%, and you can go fly theirs and see what they'll get. I contend that we have the same takeoff and landing distances. They're in the high 200s. 285 is the measured on this, done by me in the actual aircraft numerous times. Standard day, sea level, gross weight, no wind. That's real numbers. So that's really some of the highlights between the two aircraft. I'm sure there's some other things, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And on this particular aircraft, again, the nice thing about the new Scout that we have now, just to hit some of the points we talked about earlier, we've got the new electrical system with the battery mounted up on the firewall. So that is a lighter battery, less weight in the aircraft, less wire weight in the aircraft. It turns the prop a whole lot better. We have the new extended baggage compartment, which we've talked about quite a bit. And the EDM 930, which we've had for a while, but it's become basically a standard as far as I'm concerned in the aircraft. And also now the 696, which is a first on this one. So there's a number of improvements, and if I've missed anything here, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to give me a call, and we'll talk about it. I'm at 972-392-1234. Y'all have a good day.